we always coordinate motions in these two bars in a similar way. So whenever you play the thumb note, you always make a pull-in motion, like that, leaning properly toward that finger, focusing the nail joint of the thumb, pull-in motion, and the wrist goes lower to the level of the keys. Not too low, but it doesn't stay high also, so it's just at the level of the keys. A good support in the nail joint of the thumb and in the wrist. And toward the fourth finger, you go forward in the keyboard. You don't lift your wrist while you do so. Your wrist stays in a neutral position, but you instead activate knuckles while proceeding to the fourth finger. And then when you get to the next group, you pull again for the thumb. So you break that line into groups of 4 notes, always starting from the thumb and coordinating each group in the same way. Pull, push. Out of the keyboard, in the keyboard. Out, in. Out, in. This motion synchronization is essential here, and if you will master it and if you will minimize it afterwards, it will feel very natural, and doesn't matter whether you will have warmed up hands, whether you have a good technique or not very much yet, but nevertheless this part will be comfortable to play. But when you master this part, when you just start practicing it, I suggest you to nevertheless focus the tips of the fingers and play rather mezzo forte, controlling that you lean towards each key, that your fingers go toward the bottom. Good support in each finger, hitting each key with the same amount of energy, and releasing all the fingers that don't work. Of course, later on, when you will be polishing the piece, after you have already mastered it technically, and you will be polishing in your interpretation, of course, you might play it with more flattened fingers and even maybe some kind of a half pedal in order to create this kind of impressionistic, romantic image. But at first, I suggest you to work through it with stronger fingers, focusing tips of the fingers, focusing nail joints, and working on a good weight transfer and release of those fingers that don't work. And of course, coordinating motions in this way, as I told. And when we get to the third bar, we have just a C major chord, and then we start a new line from the second beat. Also, at first, we just play chords. Second beat, third beat, fourth beat, bar 4, and so on, in order to memorize it just as positions. Of course, you can also notice which voices don't move and which move. For example, in bar 3 and 4, you see that we have C and E and G that don't move, and other voices move around like that. So noticing such things also help you to learn faster. You can also start by playing just the upper voice and the lower voice, like that. If you want a little challenge, you can transpose this beautiful contrapunctual melody and play it in a different key, for example. It helps learn music functionally. It helps activating your ear memory. So this is a very nice exercise. But anyway, playing as a chord progression first until you understand the chords. And then we start coordinating motions in the similar way. So whenever you play the fifth or fourth finger, you go in the keyboard, and for the thumb you pull. And since we have a polyphony here, your task also is to mark the upper voice, also exaggerating it a little bit at first. So you mark properly, going in the keyboard. Attention, your wrist doesn't go up. This is a frequent issue with students, frequent mistake. So this is a mistake. Your wrist doesn't go up. This forward-going motion in the keyboard is serving us solely for strengthening the knuckle, yeah, but the wrist remains in a comfortable neutral position close to the level of the keys. So in, out, 3 notes out, and the stronger note on the first beat in the keyboard. Also, you work in groups. Especially be careful with the bar number 5. This is a typical bar where some mistakes happen. In order to avoid them, we have to at first play as chords. And of course, would be great to analyze these chords a little bit. So on the first beat, we have just an inversion of a beautiful C major, major 7th chord. Yeah? On the second beat, we have a D minor 7th chord. On the third beat, we have E minor and A minor. Yeah? So just by understanding these chords, we can already remember them faster. Then, of course, you work in groups, starting from the second 16 note and making a stop after the strong beat in order to memorize it in chunks of information, where one beat is one unit. The first beat and stop, and then from the second 16, stop, stop, stop. This is essential because our brain needs some gaps between elements in order to remember them faster. And then you unite them in 2 groups, in groups of 2, till the third beat. And then from the third beat till the first beat of the next bar. And you can repeat each element a few times until you feel comfortable with it.